Welcome to the Millennial Rant, a podcast about whatever's bothering me today. With topics ranging from politics to pop culture, there's a rant to cover everyone. For more Millennial Rant content, you can join me on the web at millennialrant.com. There's been a lot of hype about AI since it really started to come about I guess about a year ago when it really started to be widely used. ChatGPT came out and then everybody kind of jumped on the AI bandwagon. And around that same time, I guess more like a year and a half, 2 years, I'm a late adopter. I always kind of really have been. So I've only recently gotten into the AI trend. I remember using an AI art generator again about a year and a half ago, and then I just kind of dropped it by the wayside and didn't pick it back up until very recently. So there's been some hype about all sorts of things, deep fakes and, AI generated photos of different people, specifically celebrities, internet influencers, that sort of thing. There have been instances of people cheating. That's not a surprise, honestly. That's not a surprise. If there's technology, people are going to abuse it for bad means. Doesn't mean it's okay, but it's still not a surprise. But the thing that really has amused me, I guess I should say, about this whole AI thing and the direction that it's going is that people genuinely think that the AI as we have it can take over the world. I mean, yes, AI is going to optimize a lot of job things, so we won't need humans doing that grunt work anymore, but there's always going to be machine error, not only in calculation but also in empathy. If you're looking for some specific information, you're going to have to go through every output that the machine does in order to ensure that the machine matches what you yourself want it to produce, right? Especially if you're in the social sciences and doing a qualitative study or something like that, you're going to have to check the work. If somebody is cheating on an essay by having ChatGPT or whatever write it, then they're still doing some extensive edits. Otherwise, it's pretty obvious. I've done some test runs because I'm planning to go back into teaching, and I need to know what these generated papers look like. And they're fine, extremely juvenile. There's no real voice. There's no real anything to it. If you were to generate a paper on ChatGPT, again, you'd have to do some extensive work on it in order to get rid of the robot. And so I don't feel unconfident in my ability to weed out what is an AI paper versus a AI assisted paper. Am I against AI assisted papers? No, not really. It's, it's a tool, and like any other tool, you use it to be able to simplify things and move forward in a more productive way. You could say that word processors are cheating because they check your spelling for you. But, what if you spell the word correctly, you just use the wrong word? It's all sorts of different things. There's always going to be a growing pains period when new technology is introduced into a culture. It happened with even the written language. You just got to take technology for what it is and use it for what it's meant to be used for, and don't abuse it. Don't take advantage of it. There are always going to be people who do that, but that's more of a moral issue than it is a technology issue. To roll this back to what this video is actually about, is there are really people who think that AI as we have it is going to take over the world. And one of the reasons why people think this way is because I swear not a week goes by when there's not at least one article from some newspaper or journal or magazine somewhere that says AI spontaneously did such and such. And no, it didn't. No, it didn't. Computers are very simple. You program them to do things and they do what they're programmed to do. So if programs are spontaneously doing things, it's because they were programmed to do those things. Whether it was intentionally or unintentionally, their output can only match the input. All of these scientists who worked on AI who are, coming out and saying you should beware of AI because, it's got a mind of its own and it's working in its own direction and it's going to be doing its own thing. No, it's not. No, it's not. You know what you should actually be afraid of? Those scientists. Because one of two things is happening, right? One, it's a red herring. They're redirecting you. They're telling you that AI is doing these things spontaneously because they are inputting that data into the AI and they want to blame the AI for bad outputs when what's the real problem is bad inputs. Whether it's on purpose or accidental doesn't matter. The bad input is creating a bad output. So they're redirecting you because they don't want you to realize that either they screwed up or they're secretly mad, evil scientists who are trying to take over the world with AI. The second thing that could be happening is that these scientists are under an NDA and are worried about legal repercussions for telling people that the organization that they work for or a contractor organization that brought them on board or whatever is actually the evil overlord that's trying to take over the world with AI. And they're doing the best that they can to get the word out there in order to protect the general public from the evil masterminds who are manipulating AI in order to take over the world. Either way, you should be afraid of those scientists. Because if they're telling you that AI is taking over the world, it's because somebody behind the AI is taking over the world, whether it's the scientists themselves or some amalgamous conglomerate entity behind the scenes. Either way, that should be concerning. And when they say AI is taking over the world, you should listen. My mom always says this, and it's totally true. The people who want to destroy this country tell you exactly what they're going to do before they do it. It's the craziest thing because for whatever reason, even though they say it and it's recorded and it's repeated, everybody just goes, well, that's not what they meant. Or it was just a slip of the tongue. Or they just bury it entirely and try to make people forget that it ever happened. So if these scientists are telling you AI is taking over the world, it's because somebody is trying to use AI to take over the world, and they're trying to blame AI for it so that you put all of your fear and focus into this non-entity, this thing that is not alive, this thing that cannot think for itself. Artificial intelligence, even as a name, is the biggest joke because if it's artificial, it's not intelligent, and if it's intelligent, it's not artificial. What we have right now is basically just better Google. That instead of just going into Google and saying, "Hey Google, search this," and it giving you all of the results, you're going into ChatGPT and say, "Hey ChatGPT, search this and do this with the results." That's what it is. It can't do anything that we ourselves couldn't do by either going into Google or looking at an encyclopedia or rummaging through ancient documents in a found underground chamber of the Library of Alexandria, which, as far as I'm aware, hasn't happened. I'm just using that as a example. So it's not about what AI is doing. It's about what people are doing with AI. It's the same thing when it comes to creating AI generated art, when it comes to creating AI generated papers or data or analyses or anything. What is put into it is what comes out. Again, be afraid when people say AI is taking over the world, because they mean it, just not in the way that you think that they mean it. This is here to stay now. It's a part of our culture now. It's not going to change. What needs to change is not the fact that AI exists. It's the way that we look at AI as a tool rather than a crutch, as a supplement rather than a replacement. And if you do that, then AI will have served its greater purpose, and you'll be much more aware of what it can do and what it can't do, and the intentions of the people who are behind any malicious intent that may come out of it.